Hi, this is John Ricciuti from Radnor Studio 21. And today on Veterans Speak, we have an interesting guest. He's a Vietnam veteran, he's a Radnor resident, and he's the co-innkeeper and owner of the Wayne B&B. However, before that, he was the owner of the Wayne B&B, the co-owner. He started out in Rhode Island, but I'll let him tell your story and we'll go from there. Bob?
Hi,
Welcome.
John.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you
It's a
for
pleasure.
having me.
I noticed you went to what, University of Rhode Island?
Correct.
And I would have never known by your accent that you were from Rhode Island. Do you?
Well, I only spent my first 21 years there, and then went to Massachusetts, well, after my 5 years in the Navy.
Tell me about the Navy. You went to the University of Rhode Island. Do you, before we even get there, do you visit Rhode Island frequently?
I do. I still have relatives there.
But
And-
where at?
Cranston, Pawtucket, and North Kingstown.
Yeah, Rhode Island's one of those interesting states. It's I know it's a smaller state. Now, my father used to say small but mighty, and it flies under the radar as far as there's a lot of fun things to do there, besides Point Judith and the beaches in Newport, just Block Island.
Yep.
Did you ever? I'm sure as a Rhode Island resident, you must have gone to Block Island.
Part of my senior week from
And-
college
and-
was at
and from
Block
URI?
Island. Yes,
Did you went to Block Island there?
I did.
Now I'm guessing, if you were Vietnam in the '60s, Block Island really had to be kind of like barren. Would you just like go to the Atlantic Inn
That was it. Went to Atlantic Inn.
And-
At that time, they had one taxi.
and just and the bar, or a
That's
few
it.
or two or three?
That's it. Well,
And you stayed there for your senior week?
no, just the last 2 days.
Oh, last 2 days.
Yeah, they had-
and then you took that ferry ride over?
Yes, the whole class did. It was a rough ride back, you can
Was it?
imagine.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was rough. With all that Narragansett beer?
We had some Narragansett beer, of course.
Yeah, of
Well, you
course.
had to.
You have to. That's a beer of choice. From Cranston,
Yes,
where you have relatives.
yes.
Yeah, Providence is an interesting city too. I was there recently, and it's a very ethnic city, but there's still lots of Italian restaurants, of course, and then of course you have lots of Latino restaurants that have sprung up, and it's different.
Well, I was actually born on Federal Hill.
Were you really?
Yes,
So
So I know-
you know all about the ins and outs of Providence.
yes,
So-
absolutely.
So you go to URI and you graduate with an engineering degree, and then you enlisted. Obviously, you enlisted. You didn't get drafted. You enlisted in the Navy, right?
I did.
Did you enlist in the Navy to get to like beat out the draft?
No, four of my fraternity brothers, we got together and said, let's go fly in the Navy. So we did.
And that's what you were. You were a
And
flyer.
I did.
Is that your jacket?
This
Is that your flight jacket?
this is my flight jacket,
It's-
and I still have it.
and it still fits you.
It still fits
That's
me.
really impressive.
I think it's the only part of my uniform that still fits.
Well, that's still and you're still wearing it.
Yes.
Wow, that's really nice. Okay, so I'm really impressed, seriously. So you go into Vietnam. When did you go to Vietnam?
First time I landed in Vietnam was in January of 1966. I actually landed on aluminum mats in Cam Ranh Bay because there was no runway.
66. So this is pretty. The war's is really heated up now. What type of planes did you fly?
My first 2 years was C-130s. They were transports.
Oh, you were flying cargo then.
Yes, yes. And my last 2 years, I flew P-3s, which were anti-submarine, but our mission was to look for steel-hulled trawlers that were taking munitions into Vietnam, into South Vietnam.
Where'd you leave from to get to Vietnam?
My first squadron was actually at McGuire Air Force Base.
So you left from McGuire Air Force Base?
Yes.
What did it take you, like 3 days to get to Vietnam in a transport plane?
It took us 3 days because
Oh, that was a guess too, by the way.
yeah, the Air Force had the idea that the planes would keep going and the crews would stop. So we'd go between McGuire, and then we'd stop in California, Hawaii.
You flew from McGuire to California?
Yes,
Nonstop?
yes,
Then you flew from California to Hawaii?
yes.
And then from Hawaii to where?
Wake Island.
Wow.
Then we'd go to Guam and the Philippines, then into Vietnam, and then through Japan and Alaska and come home.
Where did you stay in Vietnam to transport cargo back and forth?
We primarily go into Cam Ranh Bay or Saigon. Tan Son Nhut Air Base was the air base.
And just drop off military supplies, obviously?
we drop off supplies and pick some stuff up sometimes.
And how long were you there? You said 2.5 years?
Actually, I left Vietnam in March of '69.
Any secret missions?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, you wouldn't, who would have known, right?
Right. No.
And did you, well, I guess you were always subject to combat. You must have been shot at.
We were shot at a couple of times, especially when we went inland.
Did you ever lose any planes?
The squadron did,
Really?
yes.
Oh, that's always sad. So what was the other, you say 2.5 years you spent doing what?
It was with a anti-submarine squadron out of California, but our mission over there was to look for steel-hulled trawlers that were taking ammunition and other munitions into South Vietnam,
From
coming
where?
down from China and from North Vietnam.
So that the North Vietnamese were running
Right.
munition ships, and what would you do when you found them?
Well, what
you
we
found
did-
them at a height like maybe 35,000 feet?
No, we actually flew about between 200 and 500 feet above the water.
What? Really?
Yes. Yeah.
So, wow.
Yes.
So what would happen when I take it you must have seen some steel held.
Yes. We'd take their picture, and then we'd call a destroyer in to destroy them.
And I guess that actually took place.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
So after what happens after the Navy? Well, you were in until what, 69?
69, till
Okay.
1969. Left the Navy and actually went to work for IBM as a salesman, and was a salesman for a number of years. Ended up in New Hampshire, and my wife and I actually started a search firm that we had for 20 years before we came down here.
Radnor Township is a suburb of Delaware County, Philadelphia. It's in Delaware County, and it's a suburb of Philadelphia. So for a viewing audience that doesn't know, so you're living in New Hampshire. You've got this business. What caused you to want to go to Radnor Township?
Well,
Why Radnor Township?
the prime motivation was our oldest daughter went to college here, and actually ended up in Radnor Township because our younger daughter was going into the 5th grade, and at that time Radnor was building a new elementary school. So my wife concluded that our daughter would be a new kid into the elementary school like a lot of other new kids, and sure enough, it worked out very well. She went right through Radnor High School, graduated in 2009.
Radnor High School. I mean, but you're living in New Hampshire. So how did you know about Radnor Township?
Well,
I mean, just seek it out. Did somebody call you, say, hey, you're going to go to Radnor? You're going to. I mean, did you have other choices?
well, yes. First of all, my wife does a lot of investigating, and we had some friends, educators, and we said, look, we're going to be in this area. What do you recommend? And they recommended Lower Merion, TE, and Radnor.
TETs. Lower Merion's a high school and a township,
Yes.
and which is also Montgomery County, and Tredyffrin, TE meaning
Right.
Tredyffrin, and which is in Chester County.
Yes.
So you had options. So you chose you had 3 options, and you chose Radnor.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do? You bought a house down here?
When we started, we actually rented because we weren't sure. And we also had our business and our home still up in New Hampshire.
You rented a house here,
Yes.
and what type of house was it?
My family tends to like older, bigger homes. So we
You
rented a
mean your wife?
Victorian.
You mean your wife?
My
tends
wife,
to-
well, my daughters too.
Oh, okay.
My daughters too.
Okay. Okay.
And we rented one, and then found the house that we now live in, and purchased that and moved in 2003.
And you lived in that house. Okay, so would you like wake up one day and say, I'm going to make this a bed and breakfast? Well, maybe you didn't. Did somebody wake up in their house one day and say, I'm going to make this into a bed and breakfast? I mean, I mean, this is the only bed that you own. You're the co-innkeeper. You and your wife are the, Trouty, her name is, are the co-owners of this. And there are no other bed and breakfasts in Radnor Township or
We are
or in the
we are the first and only.
the first and only. So, okay, go back to my question. Did somebody in your house wake up and then say, we're going to make this into a bed and breakfast? What happened? How does that happen? The guy's got a consulting business, right? It's a consulting
Yes,
business?
Yes.
You're, if you don't mind me saying, your degree is in engineering. So now you're going to open up a bed and breakfast. What do you know about a bed and breakfast?
We've traveled extensively throughout the country and around the world, and stayed
And
in
you
a lot
stayed,
of,
and you stayed in, like
inns
you,
and
in
bed
the
and
British
breakfasts.
Isles, Ireland,
and in Europe, and
in various parts of Europe,
Yes.
and you said, "Boy, I'd really like to do this."
well, we might have thought that. Well, when our daughter did go to college, our youngest one, we were trying to figure out what to do with our 8-bedroom house, and all of a sudden, the idea of the bed and breakfast seemed like an interesting idea, so we started pursuing it.
And you pursued it how?
Well, we found out that Radnor Township did not have any rules for bed and breakfast, so we
Your wife researched that.
yes, so we went to the zoning board, asked for an exception. It was a tie vote, so we lost. We then appealed it to the Delaware County, and they ruled in our favor. Then Radnor appealed their decision to the Commonwealth, and then the Commonwealth ruled in our favor again. So at that time, Radnor Township allowed us to open as a bed and breakfast.
And the township knew, and I don't want to get into too many of those details, but they obviously knew the site of your property because at the end of your interview with me, I'm going to show pictures in a montage of your property inside and out. So they obviously knew what they were looking at, but they for whatever reasons that maybe I guess they whatever. I don't know, and that's it. So you traveled around the various parts of the country, the world, Europe and Asia,
Yes,
and you stayed in bed and breakfast.
yes.
Did you stay in them because you liked them, or did you stay in them because you had this vision, or you did it before? You stayed in bed and breakfast before.
Right. We, even before we were married, and when we were first married before children, we tended to like older inns and bed and breakfasts. So we had done that. And so it was just a natural thing to us.
To run a bed and breakfast, you obviously have to have, you give breakfast, and you do what kind of breakfast?
It varies. We will do it to order. We have some...
Do it to order.
Yes.
You mean, so you're a good cook?
I've learned to be. Well, I'm Italian, so by definition, you have to be a good cook.
Right. Well, Thomason's not an Italian name.
I know, but my mother's name was
Unless it's
Petrosinelli.
Thomasine. Okay, so from your mother,
Yes.
you were a good cook.
Yes.
But not on your father's side.
Right.
Okay. So, and your wife's a good cook, obviously.
Very good cook. Very good cook.
So you had these cooking skills, and now you're going to apply these
Right.
to running this bed and breakfast
Right.
in an 8-bedroom house.
Yes.
Wow. Well, what did you? I mean, you didn't know anything about running a bed and breakfast. I'm really curious. I mean, the story absolutely fascinates me. So, you didn't know anything about running a bed and
No.
breakfast, so you just
We
you had
knew,
experience, and then you cook to order.
yes.
Do you give people a menu?
No. We usually describe
What
what the possibilities are, what they would like.
Okay.
One of the things we've learned is obviously now people have some dietary restrictions, and we try to find that out in advance. Or if they have some, you know, vegan diets or.
You know these in
Not-
advance?
Well, we ask them when they arrive.
As soon as they come in,
Yeah.
is there anything
Yeah,
special you want?
We give them a tour, show them where we have breakfast, and
I'm
start
sure
discussing.
I'm sure you must have a wide range of I'm going to say tourists or visitors, right?
We do, varied.
That come from all over the country,
We've
the,
had
the world.
We've had 30 states and 22 countries.
Really?
Yes.
Who did you? Is your B&B, and I don't mean this. I don't mean architecturally or decorator wise. Is your B&B? Did you design it after any particular country that you visited? That you said this is how I want ours to look, or is it a compilation of B&Bs that you visited?
Well,
Is it all the things that just funneled into you and your wife's? I know it was her idea.
right.
Okay.
All the decorations hers.
Yes.
I mean, I just clean, but she
You
does
clean.
all the decorations.
And you're the cook, and she's a cook.
Well, she's mostly the cook, and I occasionally will cook when she's unavailable.
Okay. So what was the impetus for your design? Was this like I said,
Well, it's a Victorian house,
right?
so
But it can be anything inside. I mean, you could say, well, this is how I want it to run. I want to run it this way.
well, what we've tried to do is each room is fairly unique as far as the styling and the decorating. One of the things we did was all the rooms have king-size beds. One thing we learned right away, even though, as you can see, Villanova is one of the places that a lot of people might go to that stay with us for tours for their
You
children.
get a lot of Villanova
Yes, yes,
parents,
Yes.
I think,
yes.
that go there. I know you also have another uniform. Incidentally, you do have the Wayne Bed and Breakfast logo on. So you have two uniforms on today.
I do.
You have the Navy uniform on, and you have the
Yes.
Wayne B&B uniform on. That's a very nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
So, what did did you make mistakes along the way? Did you find out that you're doing this wrong, or you should be adding that, or how long have you had that? How long have you been running this B&B?
We're coming up on 2 years.
Okay.
One of the things we learned was, as I said, we tried to have each room with a king-size bed. One of the things we didn't realize, when people do come and tour colleges, you might come with your daughter, or your wife comes with your son, and you need two beds. So what we did is we bought some couches that pull into a single bed, so that
Oh.
we could have two beds in the room.
In the same room?
Fortunately, our rooms are big enough to accommodate that.
Do you have a website? I mean, obviously,
We do.
it's on our screen.
We do.
You have a website.
Yes.
You have like YouTube and Facebook and.
I've become a social media guru. We have a Pinterest page, we have a Twitter page, we have a YouTube, we have Facebook, Google Plus.
So people can.
If it's out there, we've got it.
Well, it's an exquisite location you have that it's attractive, and there's so many restaurants in the area that border your B&B, so that in itself is an attraction for someone. There are a number of colleges in the area that Eastern University, Cabrini, Villanova, of course, that would be attracted to what you
Yes,
do.
yes.
So those are the mistakes that you made along
Right.
the way.
That was the one that we remedied really quickly.
Do you have restrictions?
We don't take pets.
Okay, but have a small. I guess you take small children.
We will take small children.
And I have to ask you this question. I'm curious because I'm thinking, as I'm talking to you, what it would, because this is the type, maybe I'm giving away a side of myself. Did you ever have someone come in the door and you say, "Oh, I'm not going to like this person. This person's going to be a pain. They're going to be a trouble. They're going to be trouble." Did that ever happen?
Not really.
No.
Fortunately.
I mean, you liked everybody coming through the door.
Well, you have to realize that being in sales, being in marketing, being in recruiting, we've dealt with people for a long time and under some interesting circumstances. You know, when someone's getting a job, it's a very stressful situation. So we've dealt that for a long time. So we can pretty much accommodate any personality. And we try to
And you
be,
really don't have to deal with them directly, do you?
well,
I mean,
we do.
it's-
We try to
it's just-
engage them.
Okay.
We try to engage them, but one of the things,
Because you have a really nice sitting room there.
well, we like everyone to feel at home. I mean, one of the things about staying at a bed and breakfast is that it's an extension of your home. It should feel comfortable. It should feel quiet. It should feel relaxing. And we try to make sure that everyone feels that way.
So that you know, you just apply all those other principles that you learned
Right,
along the way to running this bed and breakfast.
yes.
What's the hardest thing that you have to overcome to run a bed and breakfast?
Well, there's a certain romance with running an inn or a bed and breakfast or a restaurant or other, but the reality is it's a lot of work. And I think that sets in probably pretty quickly, but that's what you sign up for. And the fact that you might have a hard time vacationing.
You would have a hard time vacationing.
That's right.
Because you can be busy at any time
That's right.
throughout the course of the year.
Yes. We've not blocked off any time where we would take vacation. We
I'd
may.
say, well,
Right.
because you're
Right.
kind of like never closed.
That's right. We're
Because
open.
you're always open for business. So when do you find time to go on vacation?
We haven't done that for the last 2 years.
Really?
Yes.
What do you do, like, what does a person, and I'm asking this because I think that there's somebody who may be watching this, may be curious about opening up their own bed and breakfast somewhere, not to be competitive with you, but somewhere. I know that there are bed and breakfasts like in other areas, and in Philadelphia there's one I know of that's pretty famous in West Philadelphia. There's one that's pretty nationally known. What do you have to do on just a general basis? Like, what do you do every day in a bed and breakfast?
Well, one of the things that we're very
You tell people, well, breakfast is between 6 and 10?
yes,
Okay.
but we're very concerned about the appearance of our bed and breakfast, so that we spend a lot of time making sure that both inside and out are impeccable. So we spend a lot of time making sure everything's in order. We make sure that all the amenities that someone gets in a room are there and up to standards. You know, because we're very sensitive to what people might think, and we want them to have a great experience. You know, we want them to really come away and say, well, this was exceptional. You know, I feel comfortable here, but I really enjoyed being here. So we spend a lot of time just doing that. So that's the physical side. Obviously, as I mentioned before about my social media, I spend a lot of time on that side. We do a lot of work with charities. We give gift certificates to charities. In fact, Villanova is having one this weekend.
Yeah, the Andy Talley's
That's right.
bone marrow.
That's right. Well, we've donated a gift certificate for that. And we've also publicized it on our website and on our Facebook page, because it's the kind of thing that we think, number one, is neighborly, but also it's a very good cause.
What the people that come from foreign countries
Yes.
to visit you, but they come from, like, how far? Like Asia, Europe?
We've had Africa, we've had Asia, we've had
Are they here on
South,
business?
South Africa, summer business. We've had some from Australia that were just here on a vacation. We've had a couple from like Germany and Belgium. My wife speaks fluent German, and we do have that on our website.
Yes, I did notice that.
Right.
That
So
German is spoken there.
yeah. So It varies. There were two people from South Africa. They came. They went to a convention in Philadelphia. They arrived on a plane. They took SEPTA, and they got off 10 minutes from us at the Stratford train station and walked to our place. And for 10 days, where they were with us, they took the train everywhere.
Really?
Went to New York, went to Princeton, went to the convention in Philadelphia. They ran a school in Cape Town, and so they visited all the schools. But they did everything via train. Never rented a car.
This is probably an obvious question. Do you like have seminars that you attend, or is there like do people that own B&Bs have like a convention, or is there like an affiliation or association you belong to?
We do belong to affiliations and some associations, but again, getting back to the social media, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we have a group that is part of the LinkedIn group and also Facebook and Google+, and so we're constantly coming up with discussion points, and we just share information with each other because the idea is if we can present a good image, if we can present a positive reflection for the industry, then it helps us all. So on a daily basis, I'm involved in discussions.
Is that other than the cooking? Is that what you do mostly, the marketing?
It's a heavy demand.
And
yes.
and your wife Trouty is the personality that's in the B&B itself.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're the other one besides the cooking.
Right.
Okay.
And the dishwashing. That's how I
You
got
do
through.
the dishwashing
yeah.
too?
Well, I got through college doing that.
Washing dishes?
Yes.
Wow, that's impressive. What would you like to do beyond this? Would you like to just like how long would you like to do this?
We really haven't set a time frame. It's
But it
still
could-
enjoyable. We're finding out it's a viable business.
And you must be coming into like a really busy. Say here it is March. And you must be coming into like a busy season now.
We're starting to get some reservations for April through October. Again, the colleges, graduation. We've been booked for graduation, Villanova graduation, for over a year. But Parents Weekend, just parents visiting.
Well, it's much better personally, it's much better than staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with the hotels in the area, but to stay it's more comforting to stay in a
More homey.
Yeah, it's what you said. Do you, when you go on vacation,
Right.
when you find the time, do you stay in B&Bs to
Yes.
see how they're run,
Yes.
to see what it's like for them?
Yeah.
What amenities do you offer? Just curious. And
Well-
I may be putting you on the spot with that. I don't know.
Well, some of the amenities. First of all, the off-street parking.
Right.
That's one thing. We do have a pool that's available. It'll be open again in May. I usually close it in October. When the weather's right, we have gardens. We're not quite Chanticleer, but we're close.
Chanticleer is well, you tell me.
Chanticleer is an exceptional attraction. It's one of the top 10.
In Radnor Township.
Yes, it's one of the top 10 gardens in the country. And we do have a lot of people that come.
Just to visit Chanticleer?
That's right.
And they stay
That's
with
right.
you?
Because we're on Chanticleer's website, so that when they go there, they can see where should I stay close, and we're on that website. So we get a lot of referrals from that.
I'm curious to ask you, what kind of food, because I like food. And you said you learned and you cooked along the way. What kind of food do you do? Do you do anything?
Yes.
Quiche, souffles?
We have various omelets. We have a Greek omelet with feta cheese and sun-dried tomatoes
I've
and
eaten
black olives.
I've eaten that all.